Good day and welcome to AGK's Vinyl Life. I'm your host, Anthony K. And on this episode, I'm going to be showing you guys a whole pile of fantastic original motion picture soundtrack albums, television soundtrack albums, anime film soundtrack albums, anime series soundtrack albums, all sorts of soundtrack albums. These are all remasters and or reissues that have been released over about the last 10 years. And I'm just going to talk generally about them all right now rather than giving you a detailed discussion on each one as I show it to save time. All of these soundtracks, in my opinion, are worthy of owning. I highly endorse and recommend all of these soundtracks I'm going to show you guys today. There are all sorts of music styles. These pressings are beautiful pressings. I love all these pressings. They sound amazing and they look amazing, as all the stuff I've shown you today, are going to show you today, are not just black vinyl pressings. I think there's maybe one black vinyl pressing in this whole pile. But one of the things that makes these special is they are on all sorts of cool colored vinyl, even picture discs, and have all sorts of cool artwork. Some of them are use the original artwork from the original soundtrack albums. Some of them have all new artwork. But they're all special in some way, and like I said, all of these sound great. They're great pressings, clean, beautiful pressings, sound great, look great, and I highly, highly recommend all of these soundtracks. So let's get on with it. But before we do that, a new feature I started in my last video, Fit Check. It's a Fit Check, that's right. And this week's Fit Check is a brand new t-shirt I'm sporting today from the band Envy of None. And for those of you who don't know who this band is, they are the new band by Alex Lifeson from Rush fame. It's his new band, and their debut album dropped this year. This t-shirt I got when I pre-ordered the debut album. And it's definitely in there as one of the top albums, as far as I'm concerned, new releases for 2022. So there's our Fit Check for this week. And now let's get on with some fantastic soundtrack albums. And the first three I'm going to show you, I can't really comment on these three, but I wanted to show you really, really quickly anyhow. But I can't really comment on them because I haven't opened them yet. They just arrived a couple of weeks ago. And I haven't even had a chance to open or listen to them yet, though I've seen, of course, what they look like. They all have spectacular colors of vinyl. They supposedly, from what I've read in articles, all sound really great. And I'll report back on these three albums in a future Vinyl Finds video. I'll probably show you guys the insides of these albums and show the actual vinyl from these three albums in a future Vinyl Finds video. And they're all from Wax Time Records. I ordered these from Wax Time Records, who seem to have a pretty good reputation, and I've got more things coming from Wax Time, so maybe I'll do a Wax Time Records video soon, or there'll be a Vinyl Finds of Wax Time Records. The first one I'm going to show you is 180 gram colored vinyl. It's got a bonus black metal live album in it with a B-side etching, exclusive liner notes by Rob Zombie, and a 16-page booklet and a 12x12 insert, and it's The Lords of Salem, the Rob Zombie film, The Lords of Salem. And this is a 2 LP set. The vinyl is multicolored and supposed to look spectacular. And it does feature some famous songs on here besides original scoring music on here. There's things like Blinded by the Light by Man's Earth Band, Give It to Me Baby by Rick James, and Spirit of the Radio by Rush, among other things. The Lords of Salem, Rob Zombie film, also from Wax Time Records, and I'm excited to spin this one. Is Killer Clowns from Outer Space, music by John Massari, available for the first time on cotton candy and popcorn, colored vinyl, deluxe packaging, insert, etc. The soundtrack to Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I will report back on that one. And the last one I'll report back on is, this one is, it's got artwork by Yuko Shimizu. It's a 2 LP on colored vinyl, and I've seen pictures of this vinyl. It's supposed to look like Mothra's wings. It's really cool vinyl. I will show you at a later date. And it is the soundtrack to Mothra. That's right, the original Mothra film, the first Mothra film. There were 3 Mothra films. This is the soundtrack to Mothra. Of course, Mothra, a famous monster from the Godzilla era. And I love Mothra. I love Mothra. So I'll report back on that one as well. So now let's get on with the main bulk of the records here. And first up are four record store day releases from various years. And the first is, if I can get out of here, and then the first one is Barbarella. That's right, Barbarella. Jane Fonda, Barbarella, the great 60s sci-fi machine. We can never forget the Orgasmatron. And it's a really good sounding vinyl release, and I've got it protected in a Vinyl Storage Solutions inner sleeve. Do not leave your picture discs in these PVC sleeves. They will ruin your picture discs. So it is stored inside a Vinyl Storage Solutions crystal clear inner sleeve. And this is Barbarella, Jane Fonda. Beautiful picture disc. Sounds great. Don't let the picture discs scare you, people. Modern 2010s picture discs sound just fine. Barbarella. Another great one from Record Store Day, and I won't bother pulling the disc out on this one, is Blade Runner. This is a Record Store Day, a picture disc reissue of Blade Runner. A fantastic sounding pressing, and definitely one of the great soundtracks from the 80s. The original Blade Runner, which starred, of course, Harrison Ford. And it's a really beautiful picture disc. The next one is another Record Store Day release and another beautiful picture disc. And this one is the 45th anniversary of the Lalo Schifrin classic soundtrack for Enter the Dragon, of which, of course, starred Bruce Lee and John Saxon and Jim Kelly. This is a beautiful picture disc, and it sounds great. Record Store Day pressing from a few years ago. Enter the Dragon. Definitely a must-have in your collection. And the last Record Store Day picture disc I'm going to show you here is, this is the first time on picture disc. This was a Black Friday Record Store Day pressing, and this is a really great spin. This is a really great spin. The picture disc looks cool, but I'm not going to show you both sides. It is the soundtrack to the Ralph Bakshi film, Fritz the Cat, that horny little stoner cat. What a classic film. Anybody who's never seen Fritz the Cat, you need to see it, along with Heavy Traffic, The Lord of the Rings. Ralph Bakshi made some fantastic animated films in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Like I said, Lord of the Rings, Fritz the Cat, Heavy Traffic among them, and Cool World, which you're going to be seeing in a few minutes. So Fritz the Cat on picture disc. This is a really cool, funky album. Highly recommend it. Fritz the Cat. And now we're going to jump into some B movies now. These are all soundtracks for B films. A lot of them are from the exploitation, grindhouse, exploitation, sleaze, softcore, sleaze, porn kind of films that were popular in the 60s and 70s. I'm a big fan of grindhouse and exploitation films, and that sleaze porn of the 60s, 70s. Not really porn, but these sleazy B movies that came out in the 60s and 70s. And like I said, big fan of grindhouse and exploitation films. Such a great period in film history, inspiring a lot of directors, especially Quentin Tarantino. A lot of his films are directly inspired by the grindhouse and exploitation films of the 60s and 70s. So I got a whack of them to show you here. A lot of them were released by Modern Harmonic. I love the Modern Harmonic releases. I'll get to that one in a second. But the first one I'm going to show you, and I've shown this before. Some of these records I'm showing today I've shown in various videos before, but I never really, and some I haven't. But they're all collected together here in this soundtrack video. This is for the first time on vinyl ever. Like I said, some of these are, from very, very old films, but never had a vinyl issue. For the first time ever on vinyl, this is a limited edition version of Emmanuel and the White Slave Trade. Emmanuel and the White Slave Trade. Laura Gemser, who played Emmanuel in a lot of films. And this is some really cool funky, it's got funk on it, it's got tribal music on it, it's got disco on it. Typical of late 70s era scores. Emmanuel and the White Slave Trade, very cool. And this one is on a really, really cool. And I got to get it out of that sleeve. Kind of a blood and black, what they call black blood splattered something vinyl. Very cool vinyl. Emmanuel and the White Slave Trade. And this is a fairly recent pressing. I think this came out last year. Whether you can still get it or not, I do not know. Emmanuel and the White Slave Trade. And now the next bunch are all from Modern Harmonic. I love these guys' pressings. Modern Harmonic, which are, of course, I think an offshoot of Sunday's Records. I might be wrong on that, but I don't think I am. But Modern Harmonic produce some fantastic scores from long lost films, and like I said, exploitation grindhouse films. Some of these, most of these never ever had a vinyl pressing ever. So, and most of these records, all the music on these things are like funk, jazz. A lot of it's funk and jazz, and really cool 60s and early 70s funk and jazz. And I highly recommend them. The first is for the Doll Squad from Modern Harmonic. They all have, most of them have these little obies on the side. This is the Doll Squad. Very cool film. And a footnote for the Doll Squad. The Doll Squad film actually inspired Charlie's Angels. That's right. It was kind of a magnificent seven of female fighters. But yeah, apparently the Doll Squad was an influence for the Charlie's Angels TV series. And all these Modern Harmonics, most of these Modern Harmonics pressings come on a cool colored vinyl. In this case, the Doll Squad's on this green vinyl, and they come with the original film as well. So you get the DVD of the film in these soundtracks, which is really great because, I mean, some of these films you can buy the DVD separately, but there's a few of them, the DVDs you can't even find the DVD. So it's great because these Modern Harmonics not only give you the soundtrack, but give you the film to watch as well. Another one that followed that same suit was Whit Boyd Presents Dracula, the Dirty Old Man. That's right, Dracula, the Dirty Old Man. This was almost like a softcore porn Dracula thing. It's a sad film. It really is a bad film. It is actually so bad it's funny. But the music in this is some really cool funk and kind of like softcore porn funk kind of funk, but it's really good funk. In fact, side B, I think I'd say this one. Side B has like a song called just Music Number 5. It's, like 13 minutes. They're all really long, just funk and jazz. Lots of organ, Hammond organ, just really cool funk. Dracula, the Dirty Old Man. This came with a cool insert and liner notes, as well as the sad film. And this one was on a beautiful, of course, blood red vinyl. You're Dracula, you gotta have blood red vinyl. But a great soundtrack. The next harmonic are modern tongue twister. Reset. Modern Harmonic soundtrack is Girl in Gold Boots. This is a great funky. This is late 70s. This is late 60s, I should say. Late 60s go-go era music. Some great go-go funk and pop. Just a great spin. Just a great spin from Girl in Gold Boots. What a great film. I love this film. Such a great B. What's it say? Action, suspense, new hit songs. So yeah, it's a really cool spin. And it's on a gold yellow vinyl, whatever you want to call it, transparent gold vinyl. And all these pressings sound great. And it has, of course, the film as well. So you can't go wrong. And I think this is the second last one I'm going to show you. Also from Modern Harmonic. This is the soundtrack to Whit Boyd, who did of course, the Dracula Dirty Old Man. This is Whit Boyd Presents Party Girls in brilliant bare color, Adventures of the Flesh Pot Suburbia. And this was pretty much a softcore porn film that was released to theaters, pretty much. And actually, this one doesn't include the film because the film is long lost. They've got the soundtrack, but the film is a long lost film. Yeah, anybody that's got a copy of this film, let me know. I'd love to actually watch it and see how bad it really is. But yes, apparently the film is long lost, but the music is great. It's some great funk, organ funk, soul, jazz. They're all kind of the similar style of music of that era. Side B is one song. It runs like 20 some odd minutes, called Party Scene Strip Poker. Don't miss the party girls. I got a feeling. Nikki and the college boy. Can you see where this is going? But it's some really great, it's a great spin. It's some great funky music. This one, of course, didn't come with the DVD because the film is long lost. And it also is on a that gold yellow vinyl. But it does come with a little insert that talks about the film and shows the credits and everything. It does come with a little insert with a few pictures, at least, from this crazy sex pot film. But a great soundtrack. And the last one I'm going to show you, also from Modern Harmonic, is filmed in a galaxy of colors. It's Space Thing, the original motion picture soundtrack. That's right, Space Thing, the original motion picture soundtrack. And there are rumors that Space Thing very slightly inspired George Lucas's Star Wars, even though I don't see the connection at all, because it's a lusty film in space. But yeah, that's a great cover. Look at that great cover art. Space Thing, the original motion picture soundtrack. A really bizarre film, sci-fi. Well, here it is. It's what do they say? It's Buck Rogers for adults. A peek into the year 2069. Can we see where this is going, folks? But of course, it comes in a beautiful, and it comes with this beautiful, like, MoFi quality liner on a silver vinyl. I guess spaceship silver vinyl, with a nice little booklet insert that talks about the whole history of Space Thing and its inspirations to other directors and how legendary Space Thing has this beautiful booklet. And of course, it comes with the DVD for Space Thing. So there you go. There's some B movies, exploitation films from the mid to late 60s, early 70s, mid 70s soundtracks for you. The next little chunk I'm going to show you here are actually anime soundtracks to some great anime TV series and or films. The first is to one of the most legendary anime series of all times. If you have never watched anime, this is a series to watch. Definitely a legendary series. This is Cowboy Bebop. That's right, Cowboy Bebop. What a legendary anime series. And it did spawn some films. And there's a Netflix live action series, which just doesn't compare to the original anime series. But this is some great jazz. And it's done by Seatbelts. Seatbelts are the group that perform this. They are a 20-some-odd piece jazz ensemble from Japan. And this music just kicks butt. It's jazz. It's got some typical soundtrack scoring, but it's mostly jazz and funk, and it's a really, really great spin. Really great spin, and it is on a colored vinyl. I can't remember if it was two different colors of vinyl art. Yeah, it's on this beautiful kind of pinkish vinyl with beautiful labels on each side of the record. Beautiful inner liner. Beautiful inner liner. I highly recommend this soundtrack. Highly, highly recommend this soundtrack. And then the second disc, also with a beautiful inner liner. And on a kind of a purple marble with beautiful labels on the album. Soundtrack to the TV series, animated series, Cowboy Bebop. Fantastic spin. The next one, also from a fantastic TV anime series called, this is Evangelion, finally, from the Neon Genesis Evangelion series. And another great, there's some great vocals on here, some great scoring. It's just a really superb album. Evangelion, the series, and it's got a nice insert here that just gives you all the credits. And it's pretty, kind of a basic, it's not as nice as the Cowboy Bebop. It's just pretty basic inside, but it's got some cool vinyl. Kind of a gray and silver and pink, hot pink splatter on one disc. I can't remember, are both discs the same color? Yeah, both discs are kind of the same color. In a gray and hot pink splatter. Evangelion. But a really, really spectacular soundtrack. Next up, this one's just on black vinyl, but I had to pull this one because this film is my favorite anime film of all time. I have got a ton of anime, hundreds and hundreds of anime TV series and films. I'm a huge anime fan and collector, as people probably already know if you didn't know already. I collect anime figurines and whatnot. But this anime film changed my life, as they say. This is just spectacular. It is my favorite anime film of all time. I highly recommend this film. Based on Masamune Shirai's graphic novel, manga slash graphic novel that he did called Ghost in the Shell, which inspired The Matrix. That's right, Ghost in the Shell inspired the Matrix films. So people, and skip the live action Ghost in the Shell. Though the live action Ghost in the Shell movie wasn't bad, you need to see the original anime film. This is the original soundtrack to Ghost in the Shell, and this is one of the most beautiful soundtracks I've ever heard in my life. There's just some absolutely haunting melodies on it, and I highly recommend it. This is a remaster reissue from the mid-2010s, just on black wax, but what a spectacular soundtrack. The film originally came out in the mid-90s, I think 94, 95, the film originally came out, and of course it was originally only on CD, so it got the vinyl treatment. Now we're going to be moving in out of anime. We're going to be moving into television and motion pictures for the rest of these soundtracks. And the first one, this one was released by Mondo, and this is an Urban Outfitters exclusive pressing, released by Mondo, and it is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Once More with Feeling. This was originally only released on CD. For those of you who don't know what this is, but Buffy fans will know this. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. In fact, I just finished watching all 7 seasons for the 4th time, and for the first time with my daughter, who wanted to see the series, and she loved the series. It is a cult classic. I've seen that series, every episode of that series, 4 times now. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and this was from their completely musical episode, Once More with Feeling. The entire episode was a musical. This is fantastic. It's produced by Mondo, who do some great pressings. And this particular pressing is a gatefold, fabulous gatefold. And it comes, this particular pressing comes on a hot pink, a vinyl, or really kind of a fuchsia hot pink vinyl. And also included in it a, where is it? A sleigh bill. And we all know what the playbill that you when you go to a play in a Broadway play, they give you the playbill. Well, this is the sleigh bill. That's right, the sleigh bill, which talks about the whole production, has the credits, has everything, has all the song lyrics, everything. The sleigh bill. Buffy the Vampire, Once More with Feeling. A really fun spin. And highly recommend it. It's a musical like no other. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Once More with Feeling. The next one, this one also was originally only ever on CD. This was released a couple of years ago for the first time ever on vinyl. And I got this in a kind of a tight Vinyl Star Solutions sleeve. I don't know why it's so tight, but it is. This is the first time on flesh-colored vinyl, and as I showed you the Fritz the Cat soundtrack, this is another Ralph Bakshi film. This is Cool World, and I love this soundtrack. Cool World, the soundtrack to Cool World. It's on 3 sides, with the 4th side has an etching on it. I won't bother showing you the etching. Well, I guess I can pull it out quickly. The 4th side has an etching, just because I can show you the vinyl. It's on a flesh-colored vinyl. And I don't know if you can catch it in the light or not, but there's an etching of the cover art on the 4th side. I don't know if you caught it there or not. I'm not going to waste time trying to make sure you did get it. But a really, really cool release. I don't know if you can still get this. They weren't released. There weren't very many of them released. I think there was only like 1,000 or 1,500 of these released. But it's a great spin. A great spin. It's a 2 LP set. Has an insert on it. And if you look very carefully, who starred in this film? A very, very young Brad Pitt. It was an animated film blended with live action. Kim Basinger played the main character that you see on the cover here, and she played the character both in real life version and animated version. Cool World. It's a cool film. Brad Pitt's first, I think, one of his first outings into cinema, period. Cool World. But there's some really spectacular music on it. It's not so much a score as it's a collection of original songs recorded for the film, including Real Cool World by David Bowie, which I've never seen on any other David Bowie album or comp. I don't know if there's if this song is available on a David Bowie comp or album out there, but I'm pretty sure it isn't. David Bowie's Real Cool World. Thompson Twins, Play Me. Play With Me. What a fantastic song. And Electronic's first version of Disappointed by the band Electronic. Of course, Bernard Sumner, Johnny Marr, and Neil Tennant from Pet Shop Boys. Disappointed. The original version of that is on here by Electronic. Ministry are on here. The Cult is on here. Moby's on here with a couple of tracks. And there's one really great. What is it? My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult. Sex on Wheels. What a song. Brian Eno's on here. Great album. Highly recommend it. The soundtrack to Cool World. It's just cool. Another great reissue pressing that dropped a few years ago is Grease. That's right, Grease. And this particular pressing, which is really hard to find, of the classic Grease soundtrack. It's really clean, quiet, really nice sounding pressing of the classic Grease from Miss Olivia Newton-John. And part of my childhood and teen years died when Olivia died last month. That was a tough day for me. I actually shed a few tears for Olivia. She was a big part of my life, and I will miss her greatly. What a legend Olivia was. And Grease, this particular version comes on a beautiful baby pink vinyl. So if you can find a copy of that, grab it. Sounds really good. Good old Olivia. And John Travolta, Grease. One of the great musical soundtracks of all time, for sure. The next one up here is the soundtrack to, it's actually 3 soundtracks in one. This one came out a few years ago. And it is Mad Max. That's right, Mad Max with some fantastic artwork. And it's not just the Mad Max film. It's actually the trilogy of Mad Max films. All 3 soundtracks are in this collection. All 3 soundtracks are in this collection. Mad Max, The Road Warrior, Mad Max 2, and Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. All 3 original soundtracks have been remastered and reissued in this triple vinyl pressing. And each one's on a different colored vinyl. For example, Mad Max is on this silver vinyl. I think the second one, Road Warrior, is on like a sand colored vinyl. Yeah, Road Warrior is on a sand colored vinyl. Makes sense because, Road Warrior took place out in the deserts. And then, of course, the last album, Beyond Thunderdome, is actually just on black wax. But a really great triple album of all 3 of the great Mad Max soundtracks. Mad Max, the trilogy soundtrack collection. Spectacular. Next up is a reissue of a television soundtrack. And this soundtrack is the soundtrack to the TV series Peter Gunn, which I actually just talked about in my last video where I showed Lola Albright's album as being one of my most valuable albums in my collection. But this is the original soundtrack to the TV series Peter Gunn with the original cover art. If you look it up, most of the time you see a completely different cover art on it. This was apparently the original cover art that was designed for the soundtrack album. Music from Peter Gunn, performed by Henry Mancini and his band. This is one of my favorite jazz albums and soundtracks of all time. Of course, the Henry Mancini's Peter Gunn is iconic song. It's up there with the James Bond theme. The original Peter Gunn is on here, and this one came out, and I'm sure it's from a digital source, but it's on a blue vinyl. And some of these, most of these, I'm sure are taken from digital source, or maybe analog. Who knows? But I don't care. I don't care. Analog, digital. We've all talked about this for months. I don't care if they're analog or digital. These all sound spectacular, regardless of what the source was. So music from Peter Gunn. Great, great spin. Another one, another Henry Mancini film for you here. This is actually a Henry Mancini film. This is the 50th anniversary edition reissue of The Pink Panther. A must-have soundtrack. Music by Henry Mancini. The Pink Panther. What a great classic film of all time. The Pink Panther. And of course, you can't have a Pink Panther reissue without sticking it on Pink Panther pink vinyl and using that original old RCA Victor label for the center of the album to really make it nice. And this is a really, really great sounding pressing of such a classic film score and piece of music, the theme to the Pink Panther. Pink Panther 50th anniversary issue. And next up is, I couldn't do a soundtrack showing without showing at least one soundtrack from this series of films. And I'm talking about Star Wars. And I decided to show, though I have all the Star Wars films on vinyl, most of them are black pressings, but I do have like Force Awakens, which has laser holograms on it. I do have a picture disc version of the original Star Wars film. Really great sounding picture disc. But I chose for this one to show you guys the reissue, the limited edition reissue of The Empire Strikes Back. That's right, The Empire Strikes Back. This is a limited edition reissue. Includes the original booklet that came inside. It's all been recreated from like the original soundtrack album had in it. And this is one of the greatest soundtrack albums in the entire Star Wars series, in my opinion. The Empire Strikes Back 2 LP set. And this particular reissue, special limited edition reissue, was on gold vinyl. That's right, gold vinyl. Beautiful, beautiful. Sounds gorgeous, looks great. Such a really good job of recreating that Empire Strikes Back soundtrack. And we're about halfway through the pile. We got one more pile to go here. I think we're about halfway through. So I'm going to have a station break right now. Here's a quick 10-second station break while I have a little sip to wet my whistle. And we're back. That's my new station break that you'll be seeing in most of my videos to save a lot of time that I normally used to say at the end of videos. So let's get on with the other half. And first up is another great, this is a complete remaster. This is a remaster and expanded soundtrack to the film James Cameron's The Terminator, the original Terminator film, the first film from Arnold Schwarzenegger, the classic Terminator film. And this particular version is an expanded soundtrack. The original Terminator soundtrack that was released back in the day, in the 80s, was only one LP. This is 2 LPs. It's the full soundtrack. The original LP only had selections from that film. But this is the full soundtrack, all remastered, all new cover art, gorgeous cover, brand new cover art, completely different cover art than the original. But they did a spectacular job of releasing this album. And each disc is on some of the coolest vinyl I have ever seen. The first disc, check out that. Look at disc 1. Is that not some cool vinyl? And this, once again, is in a Vinyl Storage Solutions crystal clear inner sleeve. PCV free inner sleeve. That's disc 1. And disc 2, if I can get this back in there carefully. Get that back in there very carefully. Let's not screw around with that and waste time. Disc 2, there we go, is on this beautiful colored vinyl. And I think I've shown this record before in another video, but it's definitely worth a second showing. So the beautiful cover art. Terminator, the expanded and remastered soundtrack. I don't know if this is still available. Certainly some of these are extremely rare because most of the stuff I'm showing you today was all limited edition. But I'm sure you can find it out there. Look on Discogs or whatever. Next one is one that came out, I think this came out last year, if I remember right. This dropped last year. This is a ultra rare 1970 album featuring the LP debut of Olivia Newton-John. I just showed you Grease. Miss Olivia, my heart be still, Olivia. This was the very first time she ever recorded anything. This was a film called Tomorrow, which was also the name of the band, and it was supposed to be a film about this band called Tomorrow. Tomorrow is about the band Tomorrow and their adventures. And this film came out in 1970, produced by Don Kirshner. It was actually produced by Don Kirshner, famous for Don Kirshner's rock concert, Tomorrow. And this band was a four-piece group with Miss Olivia Newton-John did vocals. Though she did not do lead vocals, she was more of a backup. She was in the vocals, but she didn't really have solo lead vocals. I think there's one song that has a lead vocal from Olivia on it. But it was Olivia's first real musical recordings. And this particular reissue came out last year, and it's on a very nice, very dark, translucent purple vinyl. So very cool. Tomorrow, for all you Olivia Newton-John fans, I highly recommend it, and it comes with a nice insert that tells you the whole history of the actual film and the recording. And you can see a very, very young, she was only 21 in this film, a very, very, very young Olivia Newton-John in this movie. She was only, I think she was 20 or just turned 20, 21 in this film. Tomorrow. Next up is, this is actually a new recording, but it's a new recording of old film scores. And it's John Williams, A Life in Music. That's right, John Williams, A Life in Music, where John Williams went back and with the London Symphony Orchestra and re-recorded some of his most iconic film themes. This particular album came out, I believe, in 2018. So John Williams actually went back into the studio and recorded with the London Symphony Orchestra and re-recorded some of his greatest themes, and it's a beautiful, beautiful record. It comes with a fabulous, fabulous book that talks all about the production of this album with some really, really cool visuals for each song, graphics for each song, reminiscent of each of the films. And if you see in there, all the films are kind of represented on that cover if you study that cover closely. But this thing has some of the greatest John Williams and the London Symphony Orchestra themes of all time. Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T., Schindler's List, Hook, Saving Private Ryan, Jaws, and Superman. And what is really cool about this vinyl pressing is it's on this Galaxy vinyl. I don't know if you can catch it there. This Galaxy colored vinyl, which I actually had to clean a couple times because when I got it, it was a little bit noisy. But once I gave it a good cleaning, it sounded just great. And the actual recording is spectacular. John Williams, A Life in Music. All new recordings with the London Symphony Orchestra. And next up on the show is one I just showed in my, I think I've shown this album once or twice before in previous videos. Showed it certainly in my Vinyl Storage Solutions video. This is Morricone Groove. I'm going to show you a few. Ennio Morricone, definitely one of my favorite film composers of all time. He has a massive, he's scored more TV shows and films than I think there's almost anybody. The Italian composer and Ennio Morricone. This is one of my favorite. I'm going to take the OB strip off here. I love this. I think the cover art on this is some of the most beautiful cover art I've seen in my life, period. I would put this in one of my top 10 cover art and gatefold art albums in my entire collection. And this was produced and released by, who did this one? Light in the Attic Records distribution, Beat Ball Music. This is a gorgeous collection. It's called Morricone Groove, and it's selections from various films that Morricone scored. But all the selections on this are like lounge music pieces. It's a really cool, easy listening spin. Of course, has my all-time favorite Morricone piece on it here. Where are you? Come to me. Come Madalena. Come Madalena. I just love that song. But it's a really great collection of Morricone's loungy kind of pieces from various films. The cover art is absolutely spectacular. I absolutely love this cover art. Typical of the film, you know, the colors definitely and the art style definitely reminiscent reminiscent of the era that all of these songs are taken from, which is 60s and 70s film. And of course, this inner gatefold. Wow, this inner gatefold is just absolutely spectacular gatefold. Such a beautiful album. I highly recommend this if you're looking for some good Morricone. And it has a beautiful booklet inside that shows the posters from all of the films, talks about all of the films, talks about all of the pieces, shows the posters from all of the films. A really nice, informative booklet. And of course the vinyl, some spectacular vinyl. Disc number 1 is on this yellow and blood red splattered vinyl. And disc 2 is on this, and all of them, of course, different center labels, is on this purple and black splattered vinyl. So Morricone Groove, absolutely fantastic sounding and selection of music. And then the next 5 here I'm going to show you really quickly. There's 5 here. They're part of a set. The 5 make up a set, also from Ennio Morricone. He did a series that took over a year to collect, because each one of these 5 soundtracks was released about 3 or 4 months apart. There were 5 volumes that made up the entire series. I think I've shown this before, or shown each of these volumes in various videos, but I'm going to quickly show them again. These ones I'm not going to pull the vinyl out, but they all have very, very cool vinyl. But it was the Themes series by Ennio Morricone, the Themes series. There were 5 double LPs from Ennio Morricone. The first one was called Western, produced by Music on Vinyl's At the Movies series. Music on Vinyl, one of my favorite pressing companies in the world. Yes, they do a lot of their stuff from digital, but occasionally do things from analog. But Music on Vinyl, I highly endorse anything that Music on Vinyl presses. And this is their At the Movies section of their company with these silver stickers. At the Movies, they all come in these beautiful, really nice quality sleeves. Double LPs. And I won't bother pulling the actual discs out, but they all come with a book, and they all come with poster art. I'll just show you one, because I don't really want to pull them all out. And this is Westerns, so this is all the music from the spaghetti Westerns. All those great spaghetti Westerns, including the Clint Eastwood ones, and the Lee Van Cleef films, etc. All the great spaghetti Westerns that Ennio Morricone scored is in this volume, in Volume 1. In Volume 2, I won't bother pulling the vinyl out. I believe this one's like on a blood red or something. And they were very limited, these particular versions. This one was, I think they're all 3,000. Yeah, they're all pressings of 3,000. I don't know if they've been re-released on black vinyl or not. Then the second volume was called Psycho, from all those Gaiello and Psycho crime thriller films. 4 sides. I think this was on like a blood red vinyl. Yeah, translucent red vinyl, this one. Blood red vinyl for Psycho Volume 2. Volume 3 was Lounge, so similar music to that other collection I showed you. And this is on a orange vinyl called Lounge, from some famous old films, but it's all lounge style music, similar to the other film. And this is all from various films. So all of these collections are taken from a number of great films that Ennio has scored. So this is Lounge, Themes Lounge, from all sorts of great films. And they all have that same gatefold treatment with the posters and a book talking about them. The next one is Gaiello, from all the Italian Gaiello murder mystery suspense films, Gaiello. And this is on a Gaiello and black marbled vinyl, similar to what you see on the cover here. Gaiello, from the Italian Gaiello films of the 70s. Gaiello. And last but not least is Themes Passion. And this was on a pink and purple marbled vinyl. This has a really cool glitter cover on it. And this was all from all kind of the romantic and passionate exploitation, sex and exploitation films that Ennio Morricone scored in the 60s and 70s. Most of these films being in the 70s and maybe even the early 80s. Passion. The 5 volumes make up the entire set, and they're really nice because when you have them in your collection, stored in the collection, the 5 covers go together to spell Morricone on the ends. Very, very cool. Ennio Morricone. we're almost done here. Getting down here. Another film series that I had to include at least one album from in this showing today is, of course, the James Bond film series. Everybody knows I'm a James Bond fanatic. Big, huge James Bond collector. Massive collection, posters, books, memorabilia, movies in every format under the sun, every soundtrack and tribute album ever done. My collection is considered one of the biggest James Bond collections in Canada. But I had to show at least one James Bond film. And this is another one of the music on vinyl at the movie series releases from a couple of years ago. This is the soundtrack to Casino Royale, the first Daniel Craig film. And this particular soundtrack was released on a beautiful blue, translucent blue vinyl. Again, in one of these beautiful, beautiful gatefold packages. Let's just give you guys a spin. The first time on vinyl, originally this album came out on CD. So the first time it got a vinyl pressing, and it has beautiful inners. Beautiful inners. And is on a blue vinyl. It's on a blue vinyl with that classic 007 gun barrel logo in the center. And also comes with a poster. What was the poster? I think the poster was a small version of, what was this poster? Oh yeah, a small version of the Casino Royale quad poster, as they call these. These were the British quad posters. Beautiful poster in there. And last but not least, the other disc. There you go. Casino Royale from the At the Movie series by Music on Vinyl. I'll just put that down there. Next up, also from the At the Movie series by Music on Vinyl. Another great, great soundtrack. This is another Henry Mancini soundtrack, and this is Arabesque. A great soundtrack to a film with Gregory Peck and Sophia Loren from the 60s. Great thriller film, Arabesque. And it's a really, really nice soundtrack. And I can't remember. I think this is on, maybe is this on a yellow, or what color was this on? This soundtrack was on, it's on like a green. It's like on a very, very dark, dark green with a recreated RCA Victor label. Really great soundtrack, Arabesque. One of Henry Mancini's shining, shining soundtracks for sure, without question. Arabesque by Henry Mancini. And one more Henry Mancini soundtrack. This is another from the At the Movie series by Music on Vinyl, released in the last 10 years. This is a reissue of Hatari, the Howard Hawks film that starred John Wayne, Hardy Kruger, and Red Buttons, among other people. Henry Mancini's Hatari. What a great soundtrack. They're really wonderful soundtracks. Theme from Hatari is great. And of course, Baby Elephant Walk. What a fun song that was. The Sounds of Hatari. Another great one from the At the Movie series. And I think this one's on a yellow vinyl. And these ones were numbered. Both of these ones I'm showing. All these At the Movies albums are numbered copies. Yeah, this is on like a yellow, Hatari yellow of vinyl. And all of these At the Movie series soundtracks by Music on Vinyl are numbered copies. They all are embossed, numbered editions. And how many were of this one, as a matter of interest? Only 500 copies released of Hatari. Wow, only 500 copies released of Hatari, and only 500 copies released of Arabesque. And for the James Bond one, let's have a quick peek. The James Bond one only, it doesn't say how many here. 2,000 numbered copies of the James Bond one. So only 500 of Arabesque, so it's probably pretty rare. Only 500 of the Hatari, also pretty rare. Almost done. 3 more to go. Another great soundtrack. This one came out this summer on Record Store Day, the 35th anniversary edition of Aliens, the James Horner soundtrack to the second Aliens film, Aliens. I love that film, Aliens. And this was the Record Store Day, released on the yellow-green Alien Blood vinyl. That's right, Alien Blood vinyl. Alien Blood vinyl, very, very cool. Great sounding reissue. of the soundtrack to Aliens. And the last two on today's show are from Robert Rodriguez films. I'm a huge fan of Robert Rodriguez. He's one of my favorite directors of all time, for sure. Robert Rodriguez, who of course does grindhouse and exploitation style films, very much like Quentin Tarantino, his earlier films. In fact, the first soundtrack I'm going to show you is from the Robert Rodriguez film and Quentin Tarantino. These two fellows directed this film together. Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez directed From Dusk Till Dawn. That's right, From Dusk Till Dawn. The original motion picture soundtrack. I'll have to take it out here to really show you how it looks. From Dusk Till Dawn, a classic film that actually starred, of course, George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino. From Dusk Till Dawn, a absolute classic. From Dusk Till Dawn. Absolute classic film. And look at that, Miss Selma Hayek in one of her first film appearances. Selma Hayek as that vampire queen on the inside. This was a Record Store Day numbered limited edition pressing. And of course it had beautiful inners, and both discs were on this blood splattered clear vinyl. Beautiful innards, I guess you could say, with the Dusk Till Dawn. But From Dusk Till Dawn, fantastic soundtrack. And last up on the show, one of the two films from Robert Rodriguez's Grindhouse. There was Death Proof, and Planet Terror. That's right, the soundtrack to Planet Terror. Love this soundtrack. What a great soundtrack to the film Planet Terror. What a grindhouse. True grindhouse tribute to the grindhouse era was Planet Terror, with of course Bruce Willis starred in it, and this particular pressing is on a white vinyl with a really nice inner, and this was a Record Store Day release on a white vinyl. Planet Terror, Record Store Day release. And that's it. That's all. There's a look at some fantastic soundtrack albums, remasters and reissues that have all dropped in the last 10 years or so. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next video. And as I always say, rock and roll!